doesn't generally work so much when people want to know, can these guys actually do it? Can these guys build, what they say they're going to build?
Well, the idea of it in itself is kind of strange, right? It's very unique and it's atypical of how construction's been done in the last 100 years. So when you hear, oh, you're going to build a bunkie, what is it called?
Bunkie.
A bunkie or
It's
a
like
cabin or an ADU or whatever it is out of a shipping container. That makes sense that a customer would be like, well, let me exactly see how this plays out. It kind of makes sense that people have that reaction.
Also that it's been a DIY industry for a long time. I mean,
Right.
if you go on YouTube, you'll find 100 different videos of people DIYing these things. And that's not what we're doing. We're not DIYing these builds. We're getting them architecturally drawn and engineered. And then we're putting them on people's property for them to live in.
Right. And moving from kind of those rural areas, cabins, construction sites in Canada and around the country too, moving here locally to St. Pete, what did the permitting department or local government say when you first came to them, like that first drawing? Were they like, ooh, let me figure this out?
So they've said on their websites, and I don't know if they've said it really publicly, but they've put it on their website that, St. Pete is for it. Tampa is for it. It's still tricky, it's still tricky. I wish I could say to somebody that, yeah, you can just put one behind your house, but you have to have the correct setbacks. You have to have the ability to even fit something back there. And more importantly, you have to pay for architectural drawings and engineering, which is why if we're going to do ADUs for people, that's why we're trying to lick all those problems ourselves without, I really, like I told you before when we had spoken on the phone, I hate saying I don't know to a customer. And so we're removing as much of that as possible, but it's still a learning curve. And I will say this, I'm born and raised in St. Pete. I thought this would be the easiest place to run this business, and it's been the most difficult. And the reason for that is because we deal with hurricanes. And so I don't think people understand, like when they see a product like Boxable, for example, if you're familiar with Boxable, a lot of people are trying to do what containers are doing, but not use containers. And the problem with that is Florida has really extreme building codes because, we get hurricanes all the time. So we build these to that code using impact glass, making sure we're using H-frames anytime we're taking out corrugation.
I would assume they're tied down in some way too.
They're tied down. They can oftentimes be welded to a steel decking or screw piles with caps on top. I mean,
these things are solid.
They're. I will tell you this, Garrett. They're going to be the only things left if a real hurricane hits.
That was my next question: is how do these stack up to some of the traditional ways of building ADUs or smaller structures or even commercial spaces in terms of like storms in Florida? Sounds like they're stronger.
I mean, I have a buddy, Channing McHorst, and he owns a company in Canada. He's the container guy. If you watch the YouTube videos, he's actually building one of the cannons to shoot at these things because there are certain things. He owns a company called Container Modification World. So he makes a lot of accessories for containers, and those have to pass certain, codes and stuff.
Right.
And so we're going to start shooting these things with like 2x4s, like you do windows and doors.
That's what they do to test these impact rated windows.
I think he mentioned that a 20 or a 40-foot container, just not strapped down to the ground or anything, can withstand 145 mile an hour sustained winds to the point where it won't flip over. And I think we're right there at the edge, maybe at like 150 it'll flip, but they're very robust.
Wow.
They're stout. You can drop stuff on them. They get dropped all the time.
Right.
They fall off ships and float. I mean, they're a really good thing to build with. And I think taking advantage, dealing with China, I deal with China a lot. Dealing with China can be difficult, but the one thing they got right, I feel like, for a robust structure, something that they build really, really well, are shipping containers.
Mm-hmm. Hey guys, if you want to watch the full episode of this clip, click right here. Make sure to subscribe by clicking right here. Thank you for watching.